everyone, it's Henry or Evie, and I'm here today to start going over Genesys decks. I've been playing a lot of the format. I've been going over multiple decks. I'm going to make videos on each one. And today we are starting with Crystron. I am currently rank 2 on Dueling Book. I held rank 1 for a little bit. I've been playing Crystron as well as Clown Crew. Crystron has been very successful for me. Clown Crew has also been very successful for me. And this is the most recent version of the Crystron list that I've been playing. So Crystron does a couple of things in the Genesys format that other decks don't really do as well. And one of those is its grind game. This deck is really, really strong into the grind. Crystron Cluster provides so much resource recursion that even though you only get to play one inclusion because of the points, even though you only have 2 Sulfidor because of the points, you stay in games for so long. The deck is not the greatest at breaking boards, I will admit, but that's why we play supplemental breaker packages. For example, we're playing 2 copies of Area the Water Charmer in order to search for Gamciel when we are going second trying to break a board, or if we're going first, Area actually flexes into Ice Jade Ran Agerine, allowing us to add onto our end board something like Ice Jade Gimir Agerine or Changying before we get locked by something, Poseidra the Storming Lantean in order to pitch a Crystron from our hand and then bounce a card. We play 3 copies in the main deck with no additional target because it is able to send itself, but in the side deck we do play the heavy infantry. We're maxing out on important Crystron names, 3 Sulfefnir in order to get our plays going, 2 Sulfidor because it's pointed at 5, you only really need 2 in a grind game. You can make it work at 2. You don't really have to dedicate the additional points for 3. To Area, as stated before. 3 Molcharmi Fualos. This card's just really good in the format, so we're playing it at 3. The 1 Thistvern that's needed for some combos. The 3 Smyger, because this is how we get our engine going with all of our 2-card pieces. 3 Tristaros. Most people usually play 2, sometimes 1, depending on the variant. I'll show you guys later on why playing 3 is so good in this version. 1 Citri for our end board, 1 Praziordle in order to help with our combos, 3 First Penguin as a combo starter. This is the only true 1-card starter that the deck has in Genesys format because there are no link monsters, so it's really important to play. There are other options that I do not play that I will go over momentarily. 2 Book of Lunar Eclipse. Book of Eclipse is really strong in the format, but Book of Eclipse is points. Crystron is a deck that really benefits from getting its plays going by discarding stuff like Smyger, so playing Book of Lunar Eclipse felt like a no-brainer to me, as it will book 2 monsters, discard a card to get your plays going, and is free so you don't have to put points towards it. 1 Crystron Inclusion, because this card is 25 points, 1 Crystron Cluster, 2 Ghost Bell, as well as 2 Nibiru. I've been jumping around back and forth with my hand trap slots, what I want to play. I've looked at Dark Ruler in the side, I've looked at Ghost Ogre in the main, I've looked at Ghost Mourner in the main. I've tried a couple different things. This is what I'm testing out at the moment. 1 Gamciel in order to search it and help us break boards. 3 Synchro Overtake, 1 Cool Tune Mix, and 1 Cool Tune Recco. Now this is a board breaker package that also allows us to set up disruption on the opponent's turn if we open it, thanks to Cool Tune Remix. Overtake does lock us into synchro monsters, but it's not that important, and this package also helps unbrick certain hands, which I will show off later. In the side deck, we play 2 copies of Santa Claus to help us break boards. We don't want to play more copies of Gamciel because Gamciel has the restriction that you can only control 1 kaiju, so you can't give multiple to your opponent, and that's what Santa Claus helps you do, is it lets you give multiple to your opponent. 3 Skullmeister to hit various matchups. The Heavy Infantry as a send for Poseidra. You can main this, I just didn't want to play additional bricks. 3 Twin Twisters in order to help break back rows. Gravity Collapse is still very popular in the format. This helps deal with it. Gravity Collapse is a card you could play in this deck. I just don't really like it personally, so I'm not playing it. 3 Deep Sea Minstrel. You can discard this card and 1 water monster. Look at your opponent's hand, banish 1 card from their hand face up until the end phase. This lets you pitch your Smiger. It helps you get your plays going. It gives you information on your opponent's hand. It helps you remove a hand trap from your opponent's hand before it can impact you, etc. And 3 Swords of Concealing Light, because Book of Eclipse is a good card in this format, and this is just Book of Eclipse. In our extra deck, I'm not going to go too into detail on it because it's not super important. You can kind of flex the extra deck how you want with this deck. So it's 1 Gimir Adrian, 1 Changying, 1 Quariandrax, 1 Jade Dragon Mech, 1 Navy Dragon Mech, 2 Eliosqueletus, 1 Samurai Destroyer. We're spending 20 points on the FA Dawn Dragster in order to be able to put a Spell and Trap Negate on our board. 1 Crystron Amatrex, 1 Cooltoon RS, 1 Cooltoon Remix, both for reveals for Synchro Overtake and being able to make them. 1 Crystron Quandax in order to reveal off of First Penguin to get Smiger to get our 1 card going. 1 Cooltoon Trackmaker. I will go over this card in a little bit. It is very important to this build of the deck. And 1 Chronomaly Vimana. This card helps us basically have interruption. Sometimes we get waterlocked, sometimes we don't. This is good for when we don't and have 2 card combos. It's not accessible in our 1 card combos, unfortunately. So, missing from this deck for 1 card starters is Scrapped Recycler. Scrapped Recycler is a very good 1 card combo in this deck. It is one that I am not personally a fan of. I don't like leaving the leftover body of Scrap Recycler on the board. It's not very flexible. It does send any machine from deck to grave, which is very helpful. And it does do, that does obviously do good things for us, being able to get our combos going, 1 card, dump Smiger, right? It's not bad. It's just right now, in the current state of Genesys, I like the 2 card starters more because they apply more utility. So that is why I personally am not playing Scrap Recycler. Next is Royal Penguin's Garden. When this card is activated, you can add 1 penguin card from your deck to your hand. So it's additional copies of First Penguin, which is really good. But I felt it was clogging hands a little too much. You really like seeing First Penguin. It is your best starter. However, sometimes your hands gets clogged. Sometimes you see First Penguin plus Royal Penguin Garden. MST is also around because there's Radiant Typhoon. There's a lot of back row removal, quick play back row removal, so you don't really want to draw that card going second in case your opponent sets something like a Twin Twisters on their turn going first, because they know that your deck plays important back row that you need to resolve to search, like Royal Penguin Garden, like Crystron Inclusion. So it's you definitely can play it, it's just that I personally, again, chose not to. And then Axel Synchron. So I was having some talks with some people in the Genesys Discord, and they believe this card to be very important, and I see why. I fully agree with them. I just am not practiced with playing this card at the moment, and so I did not want to include it in a list where I am not 100% practiced with it. So I ended up not including it in this deck list, but I would recommend playing it if you try it out and see more reason to do so. Next up, we are going to show off some combo replays. I am going to start off with the 1 card First Penguin combo. This is your main 1 card, and is the most important to know. Start off with special First Penguin. First Penguin discards a card in order to reveal Crystron Amatrix, in order to search for Smiger, because it is the same type, but 1 to normal summon Smiger. Penguin, because it summoned itself from the hand, is treated as a tuner, so you can synchro for it into Quandax. This allows you to summon Smiger, in order to get Infusion searches for Sulfidor. Sulfidor then pops the Infusion and then tries to summon in order to dump 2 cards. You're going to dump Crystron Cluster and Crystron Tristaros here. You can bring back your Tristaros, which then allows you to summon the Eliaskeletos. Eliaskeletos can then add a Crystron card from your grave or banish to your hand, so you're going to get back that copy of Crystron Cluster. Tristaros then pops your Eliaskeletos in order to remove 2 from the deck, being Sulfefnir and Citri. You can summon another Sulfidor here if you play another Sulfidor. This is why I say that you don't necessarily need multiple Sulfidors, you can just play one. But it is also good to just get your Sulfefnir into rotation. Use Eliaskeletos to bring back setting the Crystron Cluster, and that's the combo. There are a couple places you can extend here. For example, you could synchro off, depending on the matchup, your Citri and your Sulfefnir for another Eliaskeletos or another water monster, as you are currently waterlocked by First Penguin, so you can't access Dawn Dragster here, which is the main issue. And then you can use Sulfefnir to pop the cluster or to discard the cluster and then pop itself and summon another body. Very, very niche stuff though that you normally aren't going to need to worry about. This is just the end board you want to go for. As Citri is on the opponent's turn, able to bring back Sulfidor or Eliaskeletos in order to synchro into either Navy Dragon Mech in order to negate your opponent's cards, or FA Dawn Dragster. And then Tristaros, after you are able to shuffle back the Citri with Cluster, and then Tristaros can summon back the Citri in order to synchro into Coriandrax. Or you can also use Quandax effect in order to synchro summon on the opponent's turn, using itself and Sulfefnir to make a 9, or using a used Dawn Dragster to make a 9. There's a couple of plays you can go for here, and you just got to make sure you sequence on your opponent's turn correctly. Next, I'm going to show you the 2-card combo of Synchro Overtake plus Tristaros. So this hand might look like a break because you don't have any way to Smyger, you don't have any real way to your Crystron plays. If you activate Synchro Overtake, summon Cool Tunes. Activate Mix's effect, adding Reco. You can then use Cool Tune Mix to synchro with Tristaros because it can synchro with any tuner from the hand into Trap. You then will normal summon Reco. Reco is going to add Mix, and you synchro off into Remix. Now, at this point, it might look like you have no remaining plays. However, you can actually activate the graveyard effect of Crystron Tristaros, because this card says you can banish this card from your graveyard and destroy any synchro monster you control in order to special summon 2 Crystrons from the deck. So it can actually destroy your track maker in order to Sulfidor and Citri. Sulfidor is then going to trigger, dumping a copy of Smyger and a copy of this card. Smyger is then going to activate in order to add Inclusion. This turn is then going to activate in order to add Sulfefnir. Inclusion can then activate adding Cluster, and Sulfefnir can activate discarding the Cluster in order to summon itself. And then Sulfefnir is going to summon a Tristaros. So now you can just dump the Sulfefnir instead of the Thystverin here and do the same thing. However, I like dumping the Thystverin just to get it out of the deck so that I'm not drawing it on my draw for turn next turn. You can then synchro with Tristaros into Eliaskeletos. Eliaskeletos will add back your copy of Cluster, and then Sulfidor will pop the Eliaskeletos back, and then Eliaskeletos will summon back Tristaros. Now here, you're at the same board state that you were at on the previous combo. Next up, I have some example games to show off here. So this is going to be versus Goaty. Our opener is actually very awkward. Book of Lunar Eclipse, double Poseidra the Stormy Atlantean, Ice Jade Ran Agerine, and Thystverin. we're going to start with Ran Adrian this turn, summoning itself and a token, and then goes off for Give Me Your Adrian. You then get to add this turn in order to search for a Smiter. So normally opening Ran Adrian plus this turn is not actually combo. It's a weaker version of the combo because you can normal summon Sulfador and do it that way. Here we have Poseidon in order to pitch the Sulfador, and we go to the races from here. And our 1 card graveyard card. So we're going to do the loop that I showed you guys previously what this deck does. And we are going to end up making Chronomaly Vimana here. And the reason we make Vimana here is because our zones are actually clogged for Tristaros to be able to activate because we have Give Me Your Adrian and Poseidra on board. And now you might question, hey, how are we making Vimana? Doesn't Ran Adrian waterlock you? Yes, it does waterlock you, but only for the time that the token is on the field. Once the token leaves the field, you are no longer waterlocked, so you are able to make Chronomaly Vimana here. We set Crystron Cluster, set Book of the Lunar Eclipse, and pass turn. I'm going to start off with Fish and Bids, which will let them banish a card from their hand. We get the option to banish 2 cards from our hand, and if we don't, they get to Foolish 2 fishes. So I don't have 2 fishes in hand. Foolish 2 fish. They are going to activate the effect of Pisces, Moonlight of the Godi, in order to summon itself by banishing a card from the hand. I am going to then negate this with Vimana so that it can summon itself. Crystron Cluster, pop the first page, shuffling back our vision. They're going to normal summon Aspis School with no effect, and then activate the Abyss Shark in order to summon itself. In order to add Silent Angler. Special the Silent Angler. To their monsters so they cannot see. At end of main, I'm going to use Tree in order to summon back Elioselitis. In order to Jade Dragon Mech, which on summon allows me to summon a Machine Tuner from the deck to the card, dumping Tristaros. They're going to pass it back to me. They're going to summon Schiff, Fairy of the Godi, in the standby phase, as well as their Keef, Merc of the Godi, because they were banished on the previous turn. I am going to move to Vimana to attack position and attack the they're going to activate Schiff. I'm going to master it. I'm going to put back my Elioselitis from the banished pile, and then I'm going to attack over their board. Moving into main phase here, I'm going to activate Selfefnir for turn, and they're going to scoop. They're now going to elect to go first in game 3 here. And our opener is going to be Tristaros, Overtake, Poseidra, Ghost Bell, and Selfefnir. We're going to start with Royal Penguin Guardian for first turn, and then I them everywhere. They get to search for this shark, the shark gets to summon itself, and we copy Silent Angler. And then you're going to throw those off for Scorpios is going to finish Pisces. Scorpios is going to back to hand. Pisces is going to summon itself, which is then going to add Pisces and finish Lifeless Leaf. Lifeless Leaf is going to banish itself in order to special summon and make Stealth Kragan in my standby phase. He's going to get to summon Pisces. He's going to get to summon I am going to start with Poseidra, pitching the Sulfadra. I'm going to use Poseidra effect, sending a copy of itself because I did not side in the copy of, I forget the card's name right now, Heavy Infantry, into my deck, unfortunately. So we are going to bump out some Stealth Kragan here because I do not want to contest Stealth Kragan when it's destroyed, as I am playing a water deck, so the Stealth Kragan spawns will be able to pop. So we're going to bounce the Stealth Kragan, and he's going to pop my Poseidra. I'm going to Synchro Overtake in order to reveal Remix, in order to summon Mix. Mix is then going to add to my hand Rekko, which he will then activate Shift here in order to Synchro and Ascon. Ascon is going to Mix, and he's also going to activate the effect of Arion Post because it was sent to the graveyard as Chain Link 2, and I am going to Ghost Spell the Arion Post here, so that way he can't pitch to his hand. Activate the effect of Crystron to bring itself back, and I am going to special summon the first penguin. This is immediately going to bait out summon Godi of the Deep Beyond to he's then going to activate Genesys in order to summon itself and keep the banished. I'm going to normal summon a Rekko here with no effect because my Mix is in the banished pile. And if nothing happens here, I will get to Synchro with Tristaros for RS, and then be able to use Tristaros effect. Snopios here, banishing the Apis School and the Zep from their hand, triggering Snopios to charge itself and make itself so it gets banished. He's then going to Synchro with Zep for Whale to destroy attack position monsters I control, blowing up Snopios is banished, so I'm there in order to add self back to hand. And now, we still have Fafnir engrave, and we're going to get off pitching Tristaros. Fafnir is summoned, Sulfador is going to be done, including summon Tristaros. Effective Elias Skeletus is then going to be activated in order to add Crystron inclusion. Will be activated. We're going to summon Tristaros and Sulfador, and we are going to activate Skeletus to bring back Tristaros. We now have 2 tuners and a level 5 monster on board, so we are going to synchro into Quarry on Drax in order to banish his cards that get effects when they are used this turn. So that way I'm trapping his effects and it's banished. I'm then going to activate Smite to add Cluster, Confusion in order to add turn so that I have follow-up, and make it so that my Quarry on Drax can't be destroyed by battle the next time each turn. We're going to activate Cluster here, not using the effect, in order to get the continuous effect that Crystron cards I control cannot be banished by my card effects. He's then going to summon in his standby phase. He's going to summon Casey's in his standby phase. He's going to summon back Schiff in his standby phase. Kind of just the whole card going here. And then he's going to summon Deep Beyond also in his standby phase. This is a very big Deep Beyond here. He is going to immediately proceed to the battle phase. And now I had a couple of options here. I could tank the damage, letting him attack into my Quarion Dax when it can't be destroyed, but I wasn't too worried about that. I just wanted to prevent the damage, so I did pop 2 while shuffling because I control a Crystron monster currently. He's going to Snopios, he's going to banish 2. He's then going to go into White Aura Porpoise. Porpoise is then going to bring back a fish from the graveyard in defense, and then he's going to synchronize into a Adamantipator Risen Dragite, so he now has a spell trap negate, contesting my Cluster on the following turn. He's now going to start Synchro Climbing. He's going to go into Ascon. He's going to use the effect of Ascon, targeting itself as well as Cluster. And we had a little disagreement over Snopios here because he did not declare the effect of Snopios on summon, so it does not get to banish itself. He's going to go not realizing that Cluster can't be banished, so his Ascon will get banished. Ascon is then going to banish Snopios in order to get itself back, and then Snopios is then going to banish Pacey banishing Shift as cost so that it can. He's then going to normal summon Zep, and he's going to go into Changying, which is actually a big problem for me here because I can't get over this card via battle or card effects. And it's currently decreasing my Coriandrax by a lot, so I can't actually crash into the Dragite here while being protected by Inclusion, because the Dragite is now bigger than my monster. He's going to go back all of his in my face and call it Sulphate. I'm going to start this turn off. I'm going to Sulfethmere this turn, and then popping the Inclusion, targeting my Elioskeltus, trying to bait out the Dragite here, but he just doesn't negate it. He thinks on summon here, thinking about if he wants to use Challenge, but then he ends up not wanting to. I'm going to Thistver in search for another copy of Genesys. I'm going to normal summon, and now I have a 7 and a 2 on board. I'm going to synchro these into Navy Dragon Mech. If this card is special summoned, you can target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of tuners in my graveyard. Negate their effects until the end of this turn. I currently have 5 tuners in my graveyard, 1 Ghost Spell, 1 Recco, and 3 Tristaros. This is going to negate his entire I'm going to pop his Changying and his Dragite, now that they're negated and I don't have to worry about them. Shuffling my Inclusion. I'm going to pop my Sulfethmere, and then get my Dump 2, Summon Smiger, and attack over the rest of his board. And getting in for 3,000 damage. At the end of the main phase, banish Oscan and Keith, triggering Oscan, Keith is, Oscan is then going to banish Zep, which is then going to bring itself back. Zep is then going to the Deep Beyond in order to banish his Snopios and my Navy Dragon Mech. Snopios banishing a goatee from the Deep Beyond and the graveyard. He's going to activate Keith to attack Goatee of the Deep Beyond, and then he's going to try to activate the second copy of Goatee of the Deep Beyond to bring itself back. However, this cannot activate because during the standby phase of the next turn, after this card was banished from the monster zone, one of them was banished from the graveyard. He's going to activate the Oscan and the Paces. And then he's going to shift to bring itself back, proceed to the battle phase, attack over the Sulphador. He's going to try to attack his monsters, put a Tristaros. Defeat because he realizes that I am going to recur too many resources and he is never going to be able to get through my wall. The next replay we have, I am playing against, I believe this is Fairy Tail. Yes, so we are against Fairy Tail. Our opening hand is Synchro Overtake, Poseidra the Storm Atlantean, Sulphador, and Sulfethmere. I'm going to start with Synchro Overtake. It is going to get and I'm going to be able to activate a second Synchro Overtake because Ghost Spell negates the activation. Summoning mix effect in order to add Recco, and then I'm going to mix. I'm going to activate discarding summoning Smiger, and then Sulphador, popping the Smiger to Thistver and Prazior. Crystron is then going to add Wordle is then going to summon the Tristaros. I'm going to activate Smiger to Inclusion in order to cluster. I'm going to make it Skeletus, adding back the Crystron and follow. I'm going to activate, summoning the Sulfethmere and the Skeletus to summon the Tristaros, getting us to our usual end board. My opponent is going to start with Avance, Swordsman of the Necros. Allow him to summon Amelia, Dance Priestess of the Necros, which is then going to allow him to add a Necros ritual spell or monster, adding of Brionac. Genie is then going to activate, turning my Tristaros into a spellcaster. Summon itself. He's then going to synchro into Fairy Tail Wiccat. I'm going to activate Cool Tune Remix in order to try to summon Mix, synchro with it, and pop the Wiccat. And my opponent is going to activate Ghost Spell. Pop the Wiccat, which he's then going to activate Super Poly, fusing with Wiccat and Tristaros in order to make Weaver of the Fairy Tales because my Tristaris is now a spellcaster monster. I will shuffle back to the Squirtle, and I will summon off of the Tristaris, the Sylphefnir. I didn't declare Tristaris in this chain. I punted my own game because I thought I declared Tristaris. That's very, very funny. Hi, welcome to playing on Zero Sleep. And I actually lose here because of my own misinterpretation of the game state. Because otherwise I would have activated Citri, summoned Eliosceletus, and gone... no, it didn't matter because he makes Witcat anyway. I'm mistaken. It didn't matter. I was in this game anyway. I punted because of my own misrepresentation of the state. That's actually kind of... I'm going to normal summon a Tristaris in order to play around hand traps here. Is going to chain Fualos. So I need to remember that I didn't have additional plays here, and summoning Tristaris here was actually throwing my combo away. But my opponent did activate Fualos, so it's fine. Tristaris, is off into Eliosceletus, and then we're going to activate Eliosceletus, and one of the toxins. And then to Sulfidor, popping Eliosceletus, chain link 1 Sulfidor, chain link 2 Eliosceletus. We're going to Kingdom Sylphefnir. We're going to add Cluster. Cluster and Pass. And being here, Fairy Tale has way too many open points to it. My Fairy Tale Ball, in which I am going to with Crystron Cluster. Is going to normal summon Amelia Dances to the Necroz, adding Necroz to the deck. Bayonak is going to activate in order to add Necroz of Cataster, and then destroying my minion, summoning Sulfidor to his field. He's then going to get in 4 a decent chunk of damage, but not enough for lethal. Back to me, I'm going to top deck Airy the Water Channel, and I will my soul. I believe I kind of punted all of them. I'm going to go Praise Yordle. I'm going to summon Tristaris from my hand. I'm going to go Eliosceletus. Eliosceletus is then going to add Praise top 2 because I now control a John I'm going to use summoning 2, activating Eliosceletus in order to summon another. I'm going to use into V mana. I'm going to see the battle phase, swing with the V mana in order to kill this monster, and then I'm going to activate Inclusion. I'm going to pass turn. This is setting me up for a Corian Giants play. We're going to our opening hand going second here is going to be Tristaris, Inclusion, Sylphefnir, Synchro Overtake, and Ghost Ogre. A very good that point is going to start Fairy Tale Luna, and I'm going to Ghost Ogre that. They're going to use Machgiru. Unfortunately, they do have the extender here with summoning the Machgiru, summoning the Luna. They are going to just go off, and I'm going to have to try to take their Fairy Tale Ball. They're going to be a cat. The cat jumps and activate Machgiru because they summoned previously. Tales of the Fairy Tale. Additional normals. They're going to activate Tails in order to fusion summon from the hand and activating overlay those into Melonia is then going to summon Crowley he sets 1 unknown and passes. We top deck a Fualos. We're going to start with activating the Fualos just in case my opponent can summon. We're going to start with the Synchro Overtake. Overtake is going to resolve, summoning Mix, and then we're going to activate Mix gets met with Forbidden Crown here, meaning we can't, not only does its effect get negated, but we also can't synchro with the Tristaris in our hand, which is really, really unfortunate here. I do complain a little bit about it because I think that the deck just has too many free points. My opponent, I'm going to activate Crystron Inclusion. They're going to negate it with Television. I'm going to activate Sylphefnir, discarding Tristar. Negated. I am then going to Inclusion, summon back and then normal summon Sylphefnir over the Tristar. Move to the battlephase, attack with the Sylphefnir, flash it into the Zoroa, and then the door is. I then realize that I can't attack over Teller of the Fairy Tale, so he's going to have a negate next turn regardless for my cluster, and so I end up scooping it up. Next up, before I end here, I do want to talk about a couple more things. There is a card coming out in the next set called Chaos Origins that heavily supports Crystron in both Advanced and especially in Genesys. This card is called Gray Layer. Gray Layer says that you contribute this card and reveal one machine monster in your hand, add one machine monster from your deck with a different attribute than the revealed monster, then if you added a monster with 1200 or less attack, you can special summon any machine monster from your hand. This is very, very good because if you reveal something, and let's say you add a Smiger or something to your hand, you actually get to summon a Sulfidor from your hand. But also, I'm going to show you a combo here, a one-card combo that this deck now gains with this card. But it also has a very interesting graveyard effect in the Crystron deck specifically. If a monster in your possession is destroyed by card effect while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can banish this card, destroy one card on the field. This is really important because Crystron destroys its own cards a lot. So the fact that when you destroy your own monster, you also get to remove something from your opponent's board is really, really good and really, really helpful in this deck. Now, the card that this combos with one card with is Boss on Parade. When this card is activated, you must add one BES monster from your deck to your hand. So this unfortunately is not an optional effect, but it's fine, you just have to play a Garnet for it. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can destroy one monster in your hand or field, and if you do, special summon one light machine with 1200 attack and 1000 or less defense from your deck to either field. So you actually get to summon to your field Gray Layer. So we are now going to show off the one-card combo with this. Boss on Parade, and we're going to add BES Tetran. You can play any of them. I personally think Tetran is the best because of the attribute. You're then going to Boss on Parade, popping any monster in your hand in order to special summon and here it's a special summon. Gray Layer is then going to activate, tributing itself and revealing Tetran in order to add the Earth Machine Scrap Recycler, and then because Scrap Recycler has less than 1200 attack, it will special summon itself. Scrap Recycler is then going to activate using Smiler and use the rest of the line from here. There are possible extensions that you can do with this. I don't know, I haven't done much myself, but this is very, very useful for this deck. It gives us another meaningful one-card starter, and it's especially a one-card starter that doesn't use our normal summon, which is something this deck does not currently have. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all enjoyed learning about Crystron with me. I will continue to do this for other decks, and I hope everyone here really enjoys the Genesys format as much as I do, and I'm very much looking forward to competing in events such as the NAWCQ with special Genesys events. Have a good one, everyone.